Welcome back. So we've just taken a turn over Sark, and we're off now to Jersey. And this is where I think the formation makes an error. I think they would use Jersey as a route then to direct themselves to their crossing point on the Cotentin Peninsula, which I believe was probably around about here, and then from this point move up and north, sort of northeast to the drop zone. But something goes wrong. They probably mistook something got scattered or clouds. They then crossed this estuary here, and this is then what puts Winters' plane onto the wrong target. So we're now heading towards Sainte-Mère-Église. Now they dropped. So they were coming through this area here about 1 o'clock, and this is when the pilot tells Winters that they're about 20 minutes out from the drop, and this is where he opens the door. Well, the crew chief opens the door. It also makes sense as well that he, not necessarily now, but definitely between now and when we get to the coast, he orders the men to stand up and hook up. And that makes sense, because if the aircraft is going to be hit by flak, these guys want to be able to get out, especially if it's over the land. So they want to be hooked up and ready to go by the time they actually hit the coast of France. So about 10 past 1, let's move the clock on a bit. Is reportedly where these aircraft hit a cloud bank. Now, maybe I should get back into the Dakota. Here we go. We'll try the Dakota one more time. So we're going to be flying from Jersey, and we're going to be heading to Sainte-Mère-Église. Right, what's the chances of getting this thing? Am I gonna have to hand fly this all the way? Okay, so here we go. We're approaching the French coast now. We are too high. So 10 past 1 on the 6th of June, then there's reports of the cloud banks and the V formations from the lead aircraft there. So this is where I believe that the well laid plans have gone awry. So they're probably now split up. The lead C-47 with the Rebecca, they've lost contact with it, but you're probably within a big group of people, planes, and now you're just going in with everybody else. And so this is why Winters has now is going to land in the wrong place. And when we get to this coastline here, you're going to see that for these pilots who will probably be looking at sandboxes back in England, they were going to be using the estuaries and looking out for key landmarks if they could spot them, or relying on their lead aircraft to locate the Eureka beacon. But now they're going to be going across this Cotentin Peninsula, and they've probably got a stopwatch so that they know the sort of estimated time that they need to be kicking out. But as you'll see when we get across to this peninsula now, it's very difficult to see the landmarks. And in fact, what we can do as well is we'll turn off the lights. So let's go to what it would look like. Now, of course, it wouldn't have street lights, and also we would not have beacon lights on, but we probably would have a compass light, instrument lighting, but we won't have position lights. They might have put their position lights on initially to form up, obviously, but by the time you're getting to this position here, you're probably not. You don't want to be showing up any lights when you get to this point. As I said, there's 6 drop zones, and we were trying to get to drop zone Delta, but we're actually heading now for drop zone Alpha. Okay, we're coming down. We're getting a bit low here. So, what we'll do is we'll go manual from here. So we've crossed the coast. We're now into the Cotentin Peninsula, and we're looking out for our drop zone. None of these lights would be on. We have got the moon at the correct time. So with a stopwatch and other aircraft around us, then we're only guessing. I can see someone up there who's live. If you want to join me, you can. We're on the West Europe server on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. We've got an EFB, so that makes it easy. The speed that they wanted when they're jumping would be somewhere anywhere between 120, 100 knots. Or 150 is getting a bit fast for the prop blast, which is what happened. Okay. I managed to put this on a slow-mo or something. This looks very slow, doesn't it? So at this point, Windsor's got the guys stood up, they're hooked on, and the red light is on. And we would probably be receiving some flak right now, pot shots basically from German flak positions. Just no, we are at way too high here. I hadn't noticed we've been climbing. Height for jumps. I've heard different figures. I've heard figures as low as 400. I've heard figures anywhere between 400 and 800. So as you can see here, this is the coast, so we're way too high right now, but we will pretend that we're not. And as you can see, there's crumbs. As you can see, there's overstressed the aircraft. Without the lights, we wouldn't know anything about what's going on here. So let's jump out here. we would have been at about 400 feet. We're actually probably more like 6,000 now. But this is just the recon one. This will go a lot better when we get to the actual stream for YouTube. You Twitch and Spotify guys are getting the raw stuff. When we talk about where did Dick Winters come down, I mean, he didn't know himself. People have tried to work it out, and I believe that the place where he came down was possibly this field here, and so he landed here. And so this is Sainte-Mère-Église, and he could you could see the church over here. Now, as for the, and we will continue this on another day. But in the meantime, let's just carry on. Let's make it light. Now this is what I would have thought would have happened if these guys here who were dropping here would go, I believe, out, but were told not to venture too far off the coast, and that there was a 10-mile corridor for them to head back up the peninsula. But I think if it was, the drop zone was in the correct position, which was down here, the actual drop zone was in this area here, I believe, then it makes sense that maybe this troop carrier would have turned right and then gone back the way they came. The actual drop zone are these, I believe it was these fields just on the nose. Now, this area here, you can see well, down below us now, you can actually see Brécourt Manor where that happened, and this is just I'm having a day today, aren't I? Sainte-Mère-Église, I believe. And then they would have been flying into here and dropped here. They could have, I suppose, carried on, but coming back the way they came in might make sense, but they probably, maybe they did, maybe they just carried on. Makes sense, actually. Carry on out to sea, get away from the flak, and then you've got sort of one route in and one route out. So that's a bit of recon there for you. It doesn't make actual sense that they would turn around, because you'll be going into flak positions around Cotentin. So yeah, I would say that it's probably more likely that they would fly out to sea and head up there to the north. You don't want to go across Cherbourg, but maybe they skirted the coast and then flew back to England that way, which would probably make more sense. these pilots, I believe they did some of them made 3 flights on D-Day. So there was this drop, there was Operation Chicago, which was around about 3 o'clock, towing gliders, and then there was another glider tow at 9 o'clock. So these guys had a busy day. Yeah, so they came out, probably flew over the coast here, and what they definitely, because the fleet wouldn't be here at this point, the task force U would be out, probably further out, so you'd get this sort of corridor. It also meant that the ships would know as well, you know, if there's a plane flying north in this corridor, then with the stripes on the wings, it's probably going to be good not to shoot it. So below us here is Utah Beach. So the paratroopers have all been dropped at the end of the causeways. You can see those lines, those roads that are coming off the beach. They're on the high ground. The Germans have flooded these areas using the lock back at the I can't remember what it's called now. I'll look it up. It's one of the objectives. Let me find that. US So this is the objectives of the 101st Airborne going across the bottom. Yeah, so this seems easily a good place to be. The fleet would be out there. We're not going to fly over them. We're not going to get any flak. We haven't turned around back in, and we're not going to be interfering with any drops coming in from the east. So there you go. They were tasked with capturing the 4 elevated causeways that crossed the flooded marshes behind Utah, and to enable the 4th Division to exit the beach. Destroy the Saint-Martin-de-Varreville coastal battery, which would threaten the fleet. And this is the one, capture and control the Barquette lock, that's it. The Barquette lock, which is on the Douve River, and that's what the Germans were using to control the flooding. They would basically redirect the river into the lowlands. And now we're back at the top of the Cotentin Peninsula, and just ultimately the whole point of Utah and the airborne landings was to cut off the Cotentin Peninsula, to cut off Cherbourg. Cherbourg was what the Allies wanted as a deep water port. Which is, we'll fly straight towards it now. We'll just fly over Cherbourg and then we'll head out to sea and we'll call it a day. So yeah, this is the whole point of Utah Beach, is to seize this port at the top of the Cotentin Peninsula. I think it was pretty much destroyed by the Germans, so it didn't help too much. But by taking Utah Beach, seizing the roads, they cut off the forces up here. They isolated them. The 4th Division comes in, Bradley, and they race across the Cotentin Peninsula and stop any reinforcements coming up. Then they can mop it up towards here, and then carry on then south. You're getting a little bit of a glimpse here as well of the bocage kind of country. You'll notice the patterns of the fields, very small, very patchworky kind of fields that over the centuries have had been cleared and have banks put on the side of them, and then the hedge grows up from those banks. They're basically the ideal country for defense. You can just put a machine gun on a bank. Lots of effort has to go in to take it, and all you've got to do then is just withdraw one field back, and they have to do it again. A lot of some of the criticism you hear about the Allied D-Day is that a lot of effort was made for the initial landing, the initial day, but the majority of casualties came from the fighting afterwards, and that actually what happened on D-Day was not the worst, and it only got worse. And of course, what's happened is that the US forces get bogged down in this bocage country. The British are on the eastern side, and we saw the Caen area. We saw these large open fields, sort of ideal tank country. And the criticism was coming across that the British weren't doing enough to break out in order to relieve the American forces who were suffering in this bocage. It's I don't really agree with that. I think the main point of the British thing was to lock in that area. It was the place where most of the reinforcements were coming in, so it's just it's just what happened, really. So this is Cherbourg, and so this is the whole point. If it wasn't for this port being here, then it's likely that they wouldn't even have bothered with the Utah Beach. Right, so I'm going to call that a day for this stream. It's been over an hour and 20 minutes. It's actually quite... next time I do this, I might just hand fly this Dakota. This seems that the autopilot is a bit temperamental. Major deep water port, but I think the Germans did their best to make sure that it wasn't operable. So things like the Mulberry Harbour and just landing at places like Omaha had to continue. And this is one of the reasons why Monty couldn't push on like he wanted to do, because the storms in June meant that his build-up was behind schedule. Cool. This is Cherbourg. Some nice scenery here. This looks photogrammic, is it? Maybe not. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe. This will be on Twitch until Twitch decides that it doesn't want it anymore, which is about 2 weeks. If you do want to watch this again, it will be on Spotify. You can find me there under Flight Pass. And tomorrow we will repeat this stream on YouTube, and we'll break it into little packages for you, and so you can find me there. Please like and subscribe there for more of this this style of stream. So I hope you like it, and I will see you again probably tomorrow.